I'm super excited to be here today with Dr. Quintin Hughes, a co-founder and the executive director of Northeast OKC Renaissance. They're doing a lot of amazing work in the developer and community development space. They've been an amazing partner to Open Design, and we're so integral to the South of Faith project. And thank you, Dr. Q, for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to reflect on 2 years of South of Faith and how that's shaping our collective.
Absolutely.
So to start us off, do you mind just going over and sharing with everybody what is your role day to day at Northeast Renaissance and what work that you do through this mission?
I'm executive director for Northeast Renaissance, and as you mentioned, I was one of the original founders of it. As an organization, we've been around for close to a decade now, which is crazy. Off camera, I was talking about getting old.
Go ahead and add me to that.
Oh no, it's crazy, but we started out in a more grassroots fashion, and over the last couple of years, we've really, I think, accelerated the opportunity to be place-based community development from within. So our work is what we call capacity building work around real estate development, small business development, and then lending small businesses and real estate projects that of people who come through our pipeline programs. And aside from that, we're increasingly interested in advocacy and are leveraging our platform and relationships for collective action.
Yeah, and I think it's just so beautiful. For one, I cannot believe it's already been 10 years. It probably feels longer than that sometimes.
Yeah, it'll be 10 years. 10 years next year.
10 years. I hope you guys are doing a big celebration to commemorate that milestone, because it's been amazing just watching you all evolve and grow and respond to the real-time needs of what we're seeing here on the East Side, to be thinking about programming, professional development, resource cultivation, funding, really being a holistic partner to meet people where they're at, to be able to be a part of this participation in shaping their community. So you guys have been doing some awesome work.
Well, thanks to organization, ecosystem partners like yourself and others, where we think the future is bright.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So 2 years after South of AIDS, it's an exciting time because we can now look back and start to see some of the actual, I would say, tangible outcomes of how that plan shaped and impacted our community. And although the project was really focused on the South of Eighth area, Northeast 8th to Northeast 1st Street, it's amazing to see how it's been so influential in how we might approach planning in other parts of the city, including areas closer to 23rd Street. And so, from your point of view, why are plans like South of 8th, would you say, are important for developers to understand and to really get a deeper context of what community members are prioritizing, what they're grappling with, and what their future vision is for their neighborhood?
I think it's important for developers, but plus, what I'm saying? It's important for us to collectively articulate vision, for one. And so I think it provides direction with multiple inputs, right? And guidance. And so it does that for developers. They're designing a streetscape and they're designing, what happened with the park, and they reference South of 8th, right? And so within that, there are specifics, kind of like what types of use will be here and what type of use will be there. That informs kind of some of the things you might do on the street. You might have parking and that nature. And so I think it's really important to have local place-based that articulate the need and the want in the short and the long term. Provides guidance both internally and externally. So if you're a developer, an internal developer, and you already kind of some of that context, but you still need guidance, then it's helpful. If you're coming from outside as an investor or as a developer that wants to do projects, you want to know what the limitations might be, or what the market would demand. You are kind of that, and you also have. You got some guidance in terms of who work with, your community members or stakeholders to consult with. So I think it's really important for that.
I would say that over the course of that project, some of the feedback I would get from people who weren't necessarily in the work is that, our struggle with engaging, resourcing, investing in Northeast OKC is that we just don't know what anybody wants. And people are saying different things. And it's like, well, we're not a monolith. People are going to have different opinions, desires, priorities based off of their lifestyle needs and how they move around the community. But I think to your point, a good and powerful aspect of South of 8th is that there was a lot of consensus built around key ideas, priorities, and also understanding what happened in the community before. Because I think people move around the East Side, they see all the vacancy, and they think the community has always been that way. You peel back the layers, the history and the models were already there. We had mixed use development, we had housing, we had businesses and parks and green spaces. It's nothing new for the area. It's just been erased and removed. And now there's a real opportunity for folks like developers and investors to help us reimagine what this area can look like and really think about it holistically. And my hope is that the South of 8 gives people context, it gives people a deeper understanding of the history, the challenges, the opportunities, and from a design perspective, how do we design that? How do we implement that? But also, how do people function in the space?
Yeah. A big point that you hit on that I didn't, historical context, I think is really important. Notify developers that is here, still remains, right? And so do need to consider, right? So yeah, kind of things, roots humanity.
Yeah, a lot of descendants that still live in the area or are significantly connected to the area that remember urban renewal, that remember what happened, and hearing their voices, and from like a living legacy perspective, remember what the street looked like. It just gives us this precious data that otherwise we wouldn't be able to Google search or just walk through and physically see, because so much of that has been physically removed from the environment. So.
Yeah. Also design cues.
Seems like there's a very strong network of people who are from this area that want to be a part of the development activity and shaping these communities that they're so significantly tied to. And you have worked in so many great ways to resource, train up, and develop this network, this cohort of people who want to be a part and participate in development. What would you say, with everything happening on the East Side, there's so much transformation, especially here on 4th Street, on 23rd Street. There's a lot of opportunity, but also what I understand to be some challenges around how do people get involved and be a part of developing and shaping their community. So what would you say placemakers, placekeepers, and developers are navigating through right now in this current landscape?
Yeah, part of the services or things that we provide are direct response to needs, or I should say that desire and that thirst to participate in development. One thing that we continue to struggle with is there's not like down or legacy transfer of principles. You know what I mean? And so of us are being introduced to this field. Like we know we want to be in real time. We know we want to be a part of it. You want to rebuild our community, and some of the things that it takes are some knowledge, some experience, and capital. You know what I'm saying? Right. Capital, and that helps you get land, right? But also there's this piece that you all through your process is out debate, and there's also vision. So you need all of those components, I think, in order to be successful in doing what it is we want to do, which is a thriving or rebuild a thriving community. I think alignment is going to be for that. But to be specific, a lot of the folks that support are a part of our ecosystem, those skills and that acumen, they're the opportunity, and the opportunity for financing, access to capital, that land ownership opportunities, but there's a knowledge base around unlocking that. Then try to bring in mentors who have done it before to do that as well. So you'll see us look to become a master developer and control larger assemblages of land to collaborate with others to build around vision, right? And then in the way that South of Base did that area. So that's kind of what we look to do in the future, address kind of the needs that we see of developers. On the larger volumes of missing middle, there aren't really many, like I said, contextually significant opportunities to grow in that.
From your perspective, with developers going after RFPs that will be released in this area in what we understand to be the near future, what do you think is important to consider in that RFP process, and how, when we think about accessibility, when we think about local leaders being a part of the development, what do we need to be thinking about from an RFP point of view to make sure that people have those opportunities just like other big developers usually get?
I do think we need to be considering whether or not those folks that are applying or that are responding have a connection to the community. Also, should be thinking about the impact of their project, alignment with kind of our goals of the movement. Right. So I think those are some things to consider. And then the housing types, I would say. I talked about missing middle earlier. I think we're very much interested in use type and mixed income. I think if we should be encouraging that type of activity as well.
Right.
So I think those are the things that I think we should be looking for in RFPs.
What I've heard from so many residents is this fear of not necessarily not wanting development. Who doesn't want to live near a park and to be able to walk to amenities and businesses and have community spaces where they can do their life full time in their neighborhood? Everyone wants that. The fear that with new development that folks won't be able to stay, it won't reflect their culture, their identity, and that they will not be able to create permanency in their neighborhoods if investment comes in. And so there's this fear. It's like a desire for new development for these communities to be rebuilt and to be full time again, but almost a fear. And so I'm curious from your point of view, how do you think developers can use a plan like South of 8 that has so many contributions from community members, so much history, and the challenges and the opportunities articulated so well throughout the report? How can developers use that and move it from a plan to an action and make it something that can be implemented through the development?
It's guidance. You know what I'm saying? You use it as a litmus test, as a decision-making tool. You're making decisions throughout the development process. Definitely in the pre-development phase, you're thinking about design. As you're thinking about your price points, you're thinking about your capital stack, right? I just encourage them to really study it and try to get to know it inside and out, and consult with the creators of it if you got questions. But use it as inspiration. Your design aesthetic, your placement for things of that nature. I think those are some ways to support action and probably include it in investment decks. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. But I say inspiration. I would say as a reminder of who existed here before, who continues to exist. It's need for development to pencil out, right? And so consider it a barrier, but really a supportive guideline to help influence thought and direction.
Yes, and I'm really excited for how it's created a model for how we can think about, again, planning and collaborating on other areas of Oklahoma City. I really see the role of a planner and urban designer to think about vision and plan and engagement and creating the guide, and for developers to use it as a tool to build. And I think the partnership is so strong and natural, and I think there's so much potential to bring this very thoughtful, collaborative, engaged, and really history acknowledging approach to planning and development in a way that hasn't always been approached with that same sensitivity. And so I'm just excited for the momentum and just excited to keep the work going with you.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I wanted to add something as I think about developers who may be coming from the outside to support our work. You have a formula that know that works. I think something like this, well, there to be some
adoption, like formalizing.
I think there has to be there's a need to consider some consideration, I should say. The community is
exactly
said that they want it, and adjustment or amendment of a willingness to adjust and amend that true model.
Absolutely. And that's actually something we were very direct about in the South of 8th report is having demonstrated an understanding of context, of history, to be able to articulate how your plan fits into this larger vision. How does it advance it? How does it support it? Are you even thinking and considering? And could you maybe fine tune or reapproach some elements of your plan to align with a vision that over 400 people and partners and organizations contributed to. And my hope is that it's a tool that will add a level of expectation for what happens in that community that before I think has always existed, but was not clearly documented in a way where someone can say, oh, okay, I can read this, understand this, see the priorities, and now cross-reference what I'm creating, what I'm planning, designing with the community's plan. Whereas before, that just was not all in one place.
I think it's great for that. We developers that are looking at it are thinking, if they're coming in with a mindset of extraction, maybe they'll find another area. Right.
Because the perception is, there's vacancy, there's impoverished areas, there's dilapidation. We can come over here and just have at it.
It's the urban pioneer mindset.
You're not a founder. You didn't discover anything. We've been in the field, and I'm so grateful to our elders and people who came before us to even make this work possible. Like sometimes you just sit back and think like, wow, really like leading a whole organization that's about building up a Black community, yeah, and just the privilege that comes with a role like that. Yeah. I have those moments all the time when I think, yeah, about what my grandmother was doing and what she had to work through, and even my mother, and now I'm in this role, and I hope that we're setting it up to be easier for the next generation of young, absolutely, leaders, and they're, absolutely, walking into an infrastructure and these institutions that are built and have been operating for a while, so we're not always in that founder stage. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. I tell my team often that every day I'm for the opportunity to live, work, dream on the East Side.
Yeah, it's so, just a, yeah, gift of a purpose to be in. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Q. Excited to keep the work up with, yeah, you.